you know, Pinterest revolves around pins. So I wanted to give you guys some quick pin guidelines, not only things that I've tested myself or have seen from other Pinterest experts, but also things that have been shared from Pinterest as their best practices and things that they suggest. Specifically, I want to talk to you guys about format. And the main thing that you should know is that pin images and videos, they should be vertical. And when I say should, that does not mean that you're not allowed to pin things in a different format, a square or a landscape format, but that vertical pins will, one, get priority distribution, and two, even if they didn't, they do get better results because they work better with the Pinterest interface. As you know, the Pinterest home feed is divided into these columns. So if you stick to the vertical pins, those would definitely be a lot more eye-catching. For example, you can see here the vertical pins definitely jump at you as opposed to this landscape image here or even this square one over here. However, there are different ratios when it comes to vertical pins. This one, for example, seems to be a 2-to-3 ratio, and we're going to talk about this very soon. And this one, a 1-to-2. And you can see that one definitely occupies more space. The longer one occupies more space. But what does Pinterest say? Pinterest recommends that you use a 2-to-3 ratio. And this is actually news. Before, Pinterest would say that you should definitely create vertical pins, but they didn't directly say that the ratio that you should use was 2-to-3. So this is confusing a lot of people, thinking, oh, okay, what do we do with the other format? Is it not going to get more distribution? And I'm going to talk about that very soon. But in terms of the 2-to-3 ratio, it's recommended that you use a 1000 to 1500 pixels size. So that's going to influence when you use platforms such as Canva that we're going to talk about to create your pin size, your pin graphics. That usually is already going to pull in that recommended format. But just so you know, that's what's recommended. It's 1000 to 1500, but the minimum is 600 to 900 pixels. Next, you have the 1-to-2 ratio, like I said. And this is where people are getting not lost, but confused on this new change from Pinterest, because a lot of people, myself included, were advising people to use this format with a 1-to-2, which would be the 1000 to 2000 pixel size. And what Pinterest is saying is that if you go to longer pins, your distribution may be affected. And the truth is, as far as I understand, that is correct. If you do a longer pin, your distribution might get reduced. But here's the catch. You need to think like the owners of the platform think. So why did they create this rule? What they don't want is for people to just create super long pins with very little value to it. So for example, a super long pin with just a text, like a quote, for example, in the middle. You can still use a 1-to-2 ratio. Just add more value to it. You kind of like have to compensate. You have to justify your need, let's say, for this longer pin. So for example, you could add multiple images, like instead of just one blown image of just one place, you add multiple in text, and you utilize the space well. So do it as you want. I just wanted to give you guys the facts, but just so you know, the 2-to-3 is the standard one that Pinterest advises you to use. You can still use 1-to-2. You'll be fine. Just use it well. Let's say it like that. And finally, if it's anything longer than a 1-to-2.1 ratio, do not do it. Pinterest has been very direct about this. They will not only be cropped, but the distribution will be significantly reduced. So it's not worth it. Like you spend all this time creating a pin to not get any traction just because you wanted it a little bit longer. And they did this because in the past, people used to pin those super long pins. It was usually infographics, but you had to scroll down, like go over and over and over to see the end of it. And Pinterest has been very direct about not doing this anymore. Now, what about videos? So I also want to quickly talk about video guidelines. And the video length, as of right now, that you're able to share on Pinterest is between 4 seconds and 15 minutes. So just know that if you, for example, you're sharing a YouTube video from YouTube and it's longer than 15 minutes, or if you're just posting a video that it's longer than 15 minutes, it will get cropped. It will just stop right at 15 minutes. But Pinterest has also said that the ideal, what they suggest, is that you stick between 6 and 15 seconds. That those are usually the video pins that perform best. A lot of people, they utilize those time-lapse, like a time-lapse video, so things that are sped up and you can get a lot of information just a few seconds. Because to be honest, that's what you should be strived to do. You want people to look at your pin, even if it's a video or an image, and they want it to, in 1 second, be interested in it, to be interested and click on it. So Pinterest says that between 6 and 15 seconds is ideal. And in terms of format, they say that you can do a 1-to-1, so a square, a 2-to-3, a 9-to-16 ratio, which is just the standard vertical ratio that usually, for example, if you get your smartphone and record a video in vertical, that's usually what it's saved as, is a 9-to-16 ratio. But they also say that if it's anything equal or longer to a 1 to 2 ratio, don't do it. Same thing with the images. You do not want that distribution reduced just because it's a longer video. But before I end this video, I just want to say that you see that they didn't mention anything about landscape videos. And when you share your pins from YouTube, which we do, we have claimed our YouTube account and we share that straight from YouTube. It comes in the landscape format, and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. We share, for example, we share this Istanbul video, and you see that it is very small. It shared very little with the thumbnail that you use from YouTube. But I still like to do it because it's when someone clicks, it automatically starts playing. And well, I guess it didn't automatically start playing. Sometimes on the home feed, it automatically starts playing, but when they open, you can watch the video from Pinterest itself. So you can click and start watching over here. And that is not the case if you just use the link. And don't get overwhelmed. We're going to show you how to create a pin in the next section. But what I do is that I do two things. I share from YouTube, so it does have this landscape format. And I also later get the YouTube link and share it as an image, a vertical image, which is what Pinterest suggests. So that is the same link. If you click here on the youtube.com, it's going to go directly to that same video, but it occupies more of this, the vertical size, which is what Pinterest suggests. So that's it. That's it for pin guidelines. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions at all, be sure to leave those in the Q&A below, and let's go ahead and get to the next video. By now, you have heard me talk about rich pins quite a few times, so I'm super excited about this video where we're going to cover all about rich pins, how to use them, what they are, what they look like. So let's get started. First, what are rich pins? So rich pins are organic pins, or type of organic pins, where Pinterest is going to show special information on that pin that they get it from that source website. It's syncing information from what you see on Pinterest to the source website, and they display it in a really nice way. And you're gonna see what that looks like for each of these 3 different types of pins. So first we have a recipe, then we have articles, and then product rich pins. So let's see what recipe rich pins look like. So you can see it still has the image, just like a standard pin. It still has the link, the title, the description, the pinner, but right here it's what that specially for information is showing. You can see here all of the ingredients and the measurements, everything, any sort of special information like it's gluten-free, and that's all being brought directly from the website. It's not like a special thing that you create, special pin that you create within Pinterest where they give you ingredients and you write down. No, it's pulling from this link that you've used on your website, and it's done for you. So I really, really love rich pins, as you probably can already tell. And there are certain other recipe rich pins that you can see the ratings as well, if people have already rated, depends on the source website. Next we have article rich pins, and this can vary a lot. It could really be like an article looking pin where you can see the author. It all varies by what kind of information they provide on their source website, or it could be very similar to a standard pin. But here is why rich pins are so powerful, and it's good when you're able to claim your accounts and able to create those rich pins. It's because this pin right here was originally pinned by Wandering Whitleys. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but this is the original pinner, and this is what you see most prominent, and you can immediately follow them. Even though the reason why you're seeing this is because Kimberly Mendoza has just saved it to their board Dream. So many people could save that to their board, which is great. However, the author, the person who is associated with that claimed account, they have claimed their website and they've created this pin. This is always going to follow that pin, no matter how many times that's pinned. So that is another way to drive traffic to your website. When you claim your account, you create this rich pin that you're always associated with it, and all of the information is automatically synced. And no matter how many people pin, you are always going to be showing up here, and people can follow you and can check out your website, of course. And finally, you have product rich pins, and we saw that very quickly on previous video, but as you can see, it could show in several different ways, but this is one of the most complete ways that it's showing a product rich pin. You have all of those different types of photos, almost like you're on the website of this brand, Adidas. So you have all of the photos, so you can see all of the angles. Then you have the link, obviously the image is the link, the price, and if it's on sale, it even shows the markdown of the price. So I really love this. The title of the product, the brand, the ratings, the type of shipping. If it's free shipping, it's gonna show here, which is even extra information. and the button, a very prominent button that they can click and go straight to the website to that specific product page and purchase. And also the product details. So if it usually shows like this, and you can click and read more of the description. So this is really powerful, as I said, because not only your information goes with the pin, no matter how many times it's repinned, the most important information is shown right away. You see the price. You also see if it was out of stock, but the pin was still, like, if someone saved the pin, it still had that on their board, it would show out of stock because availability is a required meta tag, which we're going to talk about next. Okay, so now you know what they look like. Amazing. How can we actually create rich pins? So step one is going to be to claim your website. We've already talked about this. You need to claim your domain so that Pinterest can associate that whatever product page or article page, whatever URL that it's a link to that domain, it's going to link to your Pinterest account, and it's going to enable you to create these rich pins whenever you're using any of those URLs. Next, we are going to have to make sure the product page or the article page or the recipe page includes all of the required meta tags that Pinterest needs in order to fetch that information and show on your Pinterest pin. So I know this can be confusing, but we can simplify this. If you go on this URL, which I'll make sure to leave that in the resources below, under validate your rich pins, we're going to click here on add rich meta tags. And here it's going to explain a little bit more about rich pins and how to set it up. And right here, you're going to see, you can choose which type of content you're creating. Let's say it is a product. Let's see what types of metadata we need to add on the back end of our product page. This needs to be on that specific product, not like on the home page of your website domain. So this is how you can add all of the metadata on any type of service provider. But a lot of the ones that are kind of like done for you, like Shopify, Wix, they already carry codes that you just have to, for example, input pricing, and then the code is done for you, and it's just going to input your pricing, for example. But here, you can do it from scratch if needed for your own website. So what you need to pay attention to is right here, the property, the description, and if it is required. So go through this list and make sure that everything that says required, that it's on that product page. So over here, if I scroll back, so there needs to be currency, the actual, like which type of currency, if it's gonna be pounds, USD, whatever. The product price, the actual amount, $19.99, for example, it needs to be there. The title, a type of product, up to here is required. Site name, this one is optional. All of these that is optional, it's great if you want to have it on your website, but you don't need to have it in order for your rich pin to actually work. And the way that you know that Pinterest is able to fetch all of this data and actually show the correct information for your rich pins is by using the rich pins validator. So if we go back here and if we open the validator here, all you need to do is copy the URL of a specific page of your own website. So obviously you're interested in knowing if you have everything correct on your own website, but you can paste in your URL here to see if Pinterest is able to fetch the correct information. So I just copied a random product page URL and I'm gonna paste it here and then click validate to show you. So as you can see, congratulations, Pinterest is able to fetch all of the data, and it shows that you have been qualified for rich pins, has the site name and all of the details that are necessary. So obviously this link is also going to be in the resources below. Be sure once you create your pages, you have your product pages or article or recipes, that you validate. You don't need to validate all of them. You just need to make sure that you have everything for all of the pages. So if you do the same for one page as to the other, just validate one of them, and this should be the same for all of the other if they follow the same coding, the same structure. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and let's get to the next video. If you're an e-commerce seller, do not skip this video because I'm going to show you how you can connect your catalog of products to your Pinterest account, and that is going to not only give you access to this brand new tab, your shop tab, which is pretty much a whole storefront on your profile, but it's also going to automatically create buyable pins for every single one of your products that you connect to Pinterest. So before we get started with creating our catalogs, we need to make sure that we're following these requirements. So first, we need to have a Pinterest business account, which I hope that by now you do. You need to have claimed a website. So the catalog needs to be from products on your claimed website. You need to also meet the criteria for these merchant guidelines. Very straightforward things, but be sure to open this link and analyze everything. Obviously, I'm going to leave the link to this page right here in the resources below. And you need to make sure that our data source, which we're going to be creating today, contains all of the required attributes that we're going to mention soon. And that you have the data sourcing hosting, which I'll show you how to do it. So speaking of catalogs, you can do this in two ways. You can do it in an automatic way, very easy, or you can do it manually. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do it manually today. Automatically is very simple. You just need to have an account with one of these hosts, like websites, if you have your own website on Shopify or WooCommerce, or if you have an account with some of these other providers that you already have all of your data there of your products, then you can click on each one of these links and follow those instructions, and it's going to be very straightforward for you to automatically create your catalogs. And specifically with Shopify, all that you have to do, remember on our claims page that you could claim your website, and you could also install the Shopify app. Once you do that, it's that easy. Pinterest is going to import all of the details about your product, and it's going to create that shop tab for you and all of your product pins. So as long as the information that you have on those websites and on these accounts have the required fields that we're going to show you next, then you're good to go. Everything's going to be valid and you're going to have your catalog created. So if you keep scrolling down here on this link, there's going to be more information about each one of these steps, and then you're going to get to this part of about your data source. And this data source is how we're going to create our catalogs manually. So I created this file for you that we're going to be using Google Sheets. That's what I would recommend. It is free. You just need to have a Google account, like a Gmail, and open this file for you. Once you open, just go to File and then Make a Copy, and then you're going to be able to have your own copy of this spreadsheet so you can input all of the details of your own products. And as you can see right here, I have highlighted in yellow everything that is required. So remember the pin right here, this is the product pin, and this is the information that you see. This is pretty much only the required information. But if you want to have even more information on your product pin, then, over here, then you can fill out all of these other attributes. But let's get started so you understand exactly what I'm talking about, and hopefully, even if they seem overwhelming and confusing, you're gonna know what to do very soon. Before actually I move forward to this, if you go to that link and if you keep scrolling down, it gives you all of the explanations about this data source. So it talks about the required fields as well as optional fields, and it gives you, if you keep going down, it gives you examples and the accepted information that you input for each one of those. So for example, availability, if you don't really know what they mean by that, there's a description of what that means, as well as what they accept as data when you're filling out. So it could be in stock, out of stock, or pre-ordered, for example. And that goes for every single one of the fields. So make sure to go through this. Or I've also filled out here on that first row a little bit of an explanation for you. So for the product ID, this can be anything that you want, honestly. It could be just a series of numbers, letters and numbers, but I would recommend that if you already have an ID on another website, like on your own website, if you already have an SKU or a UPC code or anything that you already can easily recognize that product by, then keep it consistent so you can manage all of your platforms more easily, having that same code for each product. But again, it could be anything that you want. It could be 123001, AB1, whatever you want. Next, we have the title. So that is just the name of your product. You can copy the exact title from your website. So usually when you open a product page, you're going to see the title for that product. So you could copy that title, or you can just create your own, something a little bit more tailored to Pinterest users if you want. Next, we have the description, and you have up to 10,000 characters here. However, I would recommend that you don't use them all, because as you can see here on this product pin, first of all, you cannot see the description right away. Users need to click on the little arrow to expand and read everything. And also, as of right now, Pinterest formatting is not very friendly to like spaces and paragraphs. So all of the text gets put together and it's a little bit too much, where most users, if it's a really long text, will avoid it. But you can do any type of description that you want. Also, you have the link. So this right here, you need to copy the URL of the exact product page for the specific product. So don't do your home page or just like that categories or anything too broad. It needs to be the exact product page. Next, you have your image link. So if you don't know how to get a URL for your product image, it's very simple. If you go to your website, for pretty much any image that you have, you can just click on it. Let's pretend this is my product. You can right click on the image and then click on Open Image in New Tab. Once you open a new tab, you're going to see it's just the image. Then you can just copy the URL that you can't see right now, but you can copy the entire URL from the browser box, copy, and then paste it here, for example. Paste it, and there you go. This is like the image URL. I'm just going to undo this. Next, you're going to put the price, and you only need to put numbers. So if it's $39.99, you don't need to put any dollar signs, anything, just the numbers 39.99. Next, availability, as I already mentioned, it could be in stock, out of stock, or pre-order. And then we move to the optional fields. So first we have the item group ID. So as I mentioned, with catalogs, you can create different groups, and I'm going to show you that next within Pinterest. And you can do, for example, new arrivals, or for example, baby clothing, baby toys. It could be whatever types of groups that you want. So if you want to create those groups, or if you already have them created and you're just adding new products, you can name them here. Next, if you have variations of that product, so let's say I am selling t-shirts and I have that t-shirt in different colors and different sizes, then I would put here what is the variation theme over here on variation name, and then the variation value. So this one right here is for this specific row, is it going to be the red one? Is it going to be the yellow? And then you can create multiple rows for each variation. And Pinterest is going to show those as options when someone opens your product pin. Next, we have the condition. If it's new, if it's used, I believe you have to check here what would be the acceptable values, but I'm assuming most of them that you'd be selling would be new. Next, your Google product ID. So this is actually really helpful for Google itself, for you to be ranking on Google through Pinterest, and also for Pinterest to understand your category as well and show it to people more easily. So the way that you can get this is by going to this link that is a little bit overwhelming, but I'm going to also leave it in the resources below. You can always use Command F or Control F to try to find a specific word within this list and make it a little bit easier rather than just scrolling through everything. So for example, if you're selling like hair accessories, then you can start putting the word hair, and then for example, this one's for pets, but maybe, there we go. Apparel and accessories, clothing, hair accessories, let's say this is what I'm selling, then you would copy the whole thing, copy, go back to your sheet, and then paste the whole thing here. And so I'm going to undo this. For product type, this is something that what I recommend, that I've understood based on Pinterest's own examples, is the best way to find the most similar product type is by going to the ad creator and then going to interests and then copying that whole sequence of category to subcategory. So this is how you would do it. If you go to ads, create ad, then again, you can scroll down and click continue. We're not creating an ad. Select anything that you want just to enable this right here, interests and keywords. So click on interest and then try to find, again, the most similar category to what you're selling for that specific product. And so for example, let me see if I can do hair. Yeah, so if I do hair, again, it's going to show all of this path from broader category to the most specific, and the closest you can get, the better. Again, this is not required, but it is helpful to Pinterest for them to understand your product and recommend it to more people. But if this is too much work, if you have like thousands of products, then personally, I wouldn't worry too much about doing this for all of them. Maybe do this for your best sellers. But in case that you want to do it, if you can't find something too specific, just go with like hair accessories, then go back to your sheet and then paste it. Then I want to do it. Okay. And now any additional image, just grab the URL of images. And if you want multiple, you can create new columns, like select the whole column, right click, do insert another column, and then copy this exact title and do another URL and another one and another one. And then you can have something like this here, multiple images, as many as you want for that specific product. Next, you will put the sale price. So again, if you have your regular price, but it's on sale and you want to do something cheaper, it's going to show crossed off, and maybe it's an extra incentive for users to purchase your product. So if you want to do that, you can write it here, the sale price, as well as the brand. Any of this, if it's not applicable, you can leave it blank. But gender, you can get all of the acceptable values here. So if you Command F and do gender, it could do male, female, unisex. Those are the acceptable values. So age group as well. If we go here, let's see, age group, there we go. It could be any of these: adult, kids, toddler, infant, newborn. So again, anything that you want to be more specific to, want to give more information to, you can always refer back to that link that will be in the resources below. So age group. Next is size type, like petite, tall, anything like that, and confirm it by using the link. Shipping. So with shipping, if you want to show, for example, that you have free shipping, then you can write down here free shipping, or you can have a URL to your shipping policy if you want on your website. In general, I just leave this blank. I do know that there are other ways that you can write down shipping policies, like you just put US 0.0, that means like it's free shipping, something like that. But in general, personally, I just leave it blank. If someone wants to find out if they have free shipping, they can just go to our product page after they click on the product link. Next, any custom label. So let's say, for example, this is a bestseller and you want like it to show if it's a new arrival, anything like that. I do think that you can do new arrival. Let me do like custom label. There we go. See, oh, okay. There's a few options like bestseller, summer promotions. I think I have seen new arrivals before. I haven't personally used it, but I do think you can always test it. And lastly, AdWords redirect. So if you do anything with Google AdWords and you want to use it here, if it's not applicable, just leave it blank. If not, you can input your data here from AdWords. And okay, once you're done, you are going to download this as a CSV file. So go to File, Download, and select comma separated values, CSV. You're going to download this and you're going to re-upload. Let me just do it, even though there's nothing concrete here about a product. So once you download, you're going to open your Google Drive. So just go to drive.google.com and you're going to upload this again. Even though it's already on your Google Drive and you're already using it as Google Sheets, once you get this link from the resources below, you still need to download it as CSV and then re-upload it right here. So here, okay. We're going to come back to this very soon, and I'll explain why we had to do these steps. But for now, let's go back to our Pinterest account, and I will be using one of our clients' Pinterest accounts again, so a few things are going to be covered or blurred. But once you're here from the menu, go to Ads, and then click on Catalogs. Okay, so if you already have a catalog active, it's going to be showing up here. And even if you do have a catalog, you can add new data sources. So just click on this button, Add New Data Source. From here, we're going to do the following. We're going to name this data source. So it could be, for example, Hobart Products Catalog 1. Next, we're going to keep going here and we're going to come back to the product feed URL soon because that's the secret why we were using Google Drive. So leave here the file format as CSV. For default availability, if you want all of your new items to the default, if nothing is filled in there for availability, then the default is going to go, for example, to in stock or out of stock or pre-order. So I usually put in stock. Next, you need to provide the product feed login details and password if you're using any sort of protected URL when you're doing this URL right here, but we're not going to be doing that, so you don't need to do that. And then you select the country, the language, and the default currency. And lastly, you do the time that you want your pins to be published. Because again, once you connect your catalog, Pinterest is going to automatically create product pins for you. So you can select anything you want. I'm just going to do a random time, let's say 5 p.m. You can choose the time zone. And now the last step is going to be, we're going to put our product URL here. So first, I want you to copy this exact beginning of URL that I'm going to leave in the resources below. And that is the following. I already have it copied here. So don't worry about memorizing this. It's going to be in the resources below. And then stop right here on equal. And now we're going to go back to our Google Drive. We're going to right click on the file that we uploaded and click on Get Link. Right here under restrictor, change it to anyone with a link and then do copy link. And now we're going to go back to Pinterest. And I'm just going to do 2 spaces just to separate this beginning to the next one. We're going to do space, space, paste. And now we're going to only keep this right here, anything between these 2 slashes after the D. Let me go here so you can see. So this is the new, it's the start and continuation of the new URL that we just pasted. You can also paste this somewhere else and then copy and bring it here, but this is just easier because we already have this open. So anything after this /D/, that's what we're going to keep. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So delete. Also, I automatically create a dot right here after the equal. It shouldn't be. Okay, so delete. And delete everything after this last number or letter, whatever it is. And when you have the /view, delete anything from that /forward. Perfect. This is going to be your URL. And I know this is complicated, but this is the only free way that I could find for you to do this. Otherwise, you would have to sign up for accounts, create such as GoDataFeed and other things like that. And you have to pay for that in order to get that URL. So this is how you do it. The last thing that you're going to do is this. Let me move myself out of the way. Right here at the bottom, you're going to click on Create Pins. And when you click that, it's going to take time and say like validating to see if they can actually read the data from your source URL. And if there's any issue, it's going to say that it failed and going to give you the reason why, or it's going to say that it's been validated and then your pins would be scheduled to be published at the time that you have created. Right now, I'm not clicking on it because the data here is just dumb data. There's nothing actually related to a product, but this is the step-by-step for creating your catalog. I know it seems overwhelming, but it's so worth it. Once you have all of these product pins, again, Pinterest is going to push those pins for you because they're heavily investing in the e-commerce side, as I've already mentioned, and you can have new sales for free without any additional advertising or marketing, just by people visiting your profile and seeing your shop there. So no brainer. If you have any questions, be sure to leave those in the Q&A below. I really hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.